on behalf of the Norwegian Royal Embassy in Nairobi, would like to thank UNFPA for inviting us to give remarks at the Global Gender-Based Violence Workshop, addressing gender-based violence in the humanitarian context. In accordance with the Norwegian White Paper on Humanitarian Policy, our new action plan for women's rights and gender equality in the foreign and development policy, and our paper on sexual violence and conflict, the Foreign Ministry of Norway will be a promoter to integrate a gender perspective in all of our humanitarian efforts and strengthen our efforts against sexual violence. As you all know, when a humanitarian crisis occurs, there is often an increase of occurrences of sexual and gender-based violence. Targeted goals towards this type of violence is necessary. Women's participation in emergencies and reconstruction work is important in order to identify needs and efforts, including best possible protection of vulnerable situations. Norway is now in the process of finalizing a new strategic plan for women, peace and security. This is a visible token of Norwegian's government's commitment and accountability of UNSCR 1325. Ending sexual violence will be an element in all of our 4 pillars of the plan. In our humanitarian work, in our peace processes, in military operations, and in peace building. It is extremely important in the humanitarian context that to acknowledge that women are not only victims, but also actors of change, agents of change. We therefore need the participation of both women and men in the formal as well as the informal processes in mediation, peace negotiations, humanitarian and peace-building efforts. The inclusion of women is important because sustainable peace and security cannot be achieved if half of the population is excluded. All relevant actors, states as well as the UN and other international organizations, must ensure that displaced populations are protected from violence, that humanitarian access is granted, and that a gender response service, including those relating to sexual and reproductive health services, are delivered. A particular concern relates to that women and girls who are forcibly displaced, as they are at a particular risk of sexual and gender-based violence. We see that effective protection strategies must include the empowerment of women and girls, such as access to education, and specific efforts to increase the enrollment and retention of girls in school, access to registration and documentation, and livelihood opportunities. Thus, Norway is strengthening the efforts of integrating a gender perspective in all of our humanitarian efforts, and we are prioritizing measures against sexual violence, and we do this through promoting and strengthening norms against sexual violence and gender-based violence, and reproductive rights in, for example, humanitarian resolutions. We include a gender perspective as a mandatory point at meetings with all organizations that receive humanitarian funding. We do support partners that contribute to implementation of a gender perspective in the field. And we do support humanitarian actors' prevention measures and response of sexual violence. And as you know, we contribute in the efforts of making the UNFPA's minimum initial service package for reproductive health available in the humanitarian response. We are also emphasizing victims' rights and participation in humanitarian efforts. So, from an action point of view, it is important to support civil society projects in combating various forms of violence against women, and continue to support efforts to end FGM, contribute to strengthen international efforts to eliminate violence against women at both normative and operational level through the UN and other multilateral organizations. For Norway, UNFPA is an important partner in the implementation of the government's Norway's action plan for combating female genital mutilation and its efforts to end sexual and gender-based violence. Norway takes a very positive view of UNFPA's assuming a more active role in the humanitarian work. We see that systematic use of population statistics and analysis is important to provide good basis for development strategies and plans. In Norway's view, UNFPA's efforts to support the development of a national policy on the linkage between population and development are an important contribution to this process. Furthermore, Norway has called for further improvement of the result framework as a basis for enhancing result-oriented management and reporting. Norway is supporting UNFPA's intentions, and we support its rights-based approach with a stronger focus on women and young girls. Thank you.